Hello again. It's Thursday the 3rd of August now, a couple of weeks after the last blog post. Done quite a lot in the last couple of weeks. Before the medical interventions in the last couple of days, we've seen lots of friends and some hiking, been over seen Oppenheimer, but not Barbie yet. Been over to see Lisa's brother and sister-in-law who've moved from Amsterdam to the Dordogne. Great relaxing few days there. While I was there, I rang the hospital, one of the nurses, because my oncologist was on holiday last week, to check whether the SABR, which I mentioned in the last blog post, had been accepted, and the answer was no. But of course she couldn't tell me why. So that was really quite disappointing and quite worrying actually. So that was on Friday. So I spent most of the weekend speculating on why they'd turn me down. I managed to find the commissioning document. So it wasn't the MDT that turned me down, it was the commissioning team. I found the commissioning document on the internet, on the NHS website, and it seemed to tick all the boxes. So that was, rather unknown. It did give me time to think about what the options were. So actually having a bit of time, knowing about it was negative in that it was uncertain and worrying, but also knowing about that it had been turned down was important to both to speculate, not necessarily good news, but also to do some research. Bone biopsy on Tuesday morning was about 4 hours actually in Addenbrooke's in the end, with a local anaesthetic. I lay on my front in a CT scanner, and the consultant and the registrar who actually did the operation, or the procedure, sorry, they were both in the room wearing some sort of lead-lined clothing. So I went in and out of the CT machine probably about 7 or 8 times while they measured me up, and they used a marker that would be seen on the CT scan, a felt tip marker on my skin to point out the exact location. And then they went in, initially obviously with some anesthetic, so anaesthetized the area quite well, and went in with a sort of, not particularly thick, but say 2 millimeters across sheath, which was pushed into the bone. Didn't feel a thing at this point, didn't even know it had gone in. And then they slide something down the middle of that sheath and take a sample, which makes a little click as it sucks it out. So they took 3 samples at 3 different places in the tumour, told me that the samples were good. They go off to the histology lab, which will report in a few days' time, and well, probably 4 or 5 days' time, a bit longer maybe, which will say that it is carcinoma, but it won't give a mutation, or sorry, the genetic form of it, and that'll take about another 4 weeks because it's a bit slow in processing the in the sequencing lab at the moment. So that was fine. Came home, relaxed, and then the next day went back into the hospital to see the oncologist to find out what was going on. Lisa is away at the moment with her mum and friends and cousin in the Netherlands, so we dialed her in, and he explained that we'd missed out one important word in the title of the document, which was it's the opposite, well, not the opposite, but it's like synchronous, but it's metachronous, which means it doesn't happen at the same time, it happens at another time, definition of the word. And what it meant was that the tumour that has mutated was already existing when while I've been on treatment. It wasn't a tumour in a new location, so it was synchronous, not metachronous. Therefore, it didn't fit in with the criteria. Therefore, the commission team turned it down. 2 options at this point within the NHS, using a sort of more blunt instrument, which is just lower intensity but much more radiotherapy in the area. That would be 10 sessions, Monday to Friday, 1 week, Monday to Friday, the second week, with covering the whole area, or SABR itself, but in the private sector. So we were investigating both possibilities. The private sector one, the machine is in Newmarket, which is only about 20 minutes drive from here. There is a cost to that, of course. There is an MDT, the same, within that system, which we're meeting at the weekend, and they will decide whether they're willing to do it. But they are willing to do synchronous as well as metachronous. Therefore, they're likely to say yes. Then on Monday we decide whether, if they say no, obviously NHS, if they say yes, have to make a decision whether to go with private or not for this part of the journey. The advantages of the SABR are that it's obviously less intrusive, but that doesn't really matter. More importantly, it's probably more effective because it's a much higher dose and it's much more concentrated in the area. So I'll make a decision on Monday which of those two or at least now I'll make that decision on Monday, which of those two we'll do. Side effects, both have got the possibility of pain because of course you're working on bone which has nerves, and they've both got the possibility of diarrhea because the intestine's quite close to the site, and there's a small, but I must work out how small, possibility of nerve damage with the higher intensity SABR treatment. So I'll do some, I've already talked to him and I'll do a bit of sort of research about that. So that's where we are. So if we decide on Monday which, the NHS and the private system can do these in about the same time frame, finish the whole set of either three, sorry, I didn't mention that SABR is 3 Monday, Wednesday and Friday of some week in the future. Now they have to do an initial scan first of all to measure me up, and then a week or so later they'll do the actual therapy. In both cases they'll probably be able to fit them in within August, so with a bit of luck we'll still get our holiday with the Lise and the girls self-driving around Iceland, which we're supposed to be doing from the 12th of August, that's Saturday next week. Well, of course, if treatment clashes with that, then we'll have to think very carefully about that. Anyway, so that's where we're at. I'll let you know next week with a short update as to where I am and what I've decided to do. Thank you. Bye.